time it is.
That's right, your ears are not deceiving you. Welcome to another episode of the C Squared Hour. Yes, I am back. I could blame my hiatus on a lot of shit. I was gone for 3 weeks. I'm a bit of a lazy prick. Or I could just pretend like I wasn't gone for, Christ, close to 2 months? Close to 3 months almost? Not a good look, Chris. Not a good look. However, there is good news. It is a leftover beer episode. And you know those always go wonky if you've listened to me for any length of time. So, yeah, as I knock the rust off, I'll be drinking just random bottom of the fridge beers. That being said, let's get into it. So, most of my listeners are going to hear that this episode, there seems to be something missing, and you'll start asking yourself, where's the other Chris? Funny you should ask. He is currently traveling around the country. We've talked before ad nauseum of all the stuff he's trying to do at a national level, you know, trying to become a lobbyist, trying to get all these laws passed. Well, he hasn't gotten enough traction in Washington, or as much as he'd want. So that being said, he is currently going across the country, talking to state representatives, trying to get something done. It's gonna take him a little longer by doing it this way, but he thinks he can get some shit changed. What does he want changed, you ask? Well, what he's trying to get on the ballot, he's trying to make it illegal for private security companies to use any car that looks slightly like a police car. I sent him a picture the other day of a parking lot. Well, this private security company's parking lot with all their cars lined up, and they look exactly like our hometown's police cars. And he took the ball and ran with it. He told me, he's like, I've been thinking about this sort of shit for months, years. This has been bugging me for a long time. You sending me this gives me a reason to make this happen. So yeah, right now, I don't remember what state he's in right now, but he's going state to state. He's gonna make sure that going forward, no private security company can use cars that look like local police cars. Now you're asking, oh, is that because people get fooled when they're driving down the road? No, we don't give a shit about that. The issue becomes when they're driving cars that look and feel like police cars, rent-a-cops feel a little too powerful. They get a little big for their britches. And honestly, people are worried about police officers being too big for their britches. You know what's more dangerous? A rent-a-cop too big for their britches. What the fuck? The guy in Florida. Trayvon Martin's. George Zimmerman, perfect example. The more you let non-cops feel like cops, the more shit you're gonna see. So Chris is going around for the safety of citizens, honest bystanders, people who like smoking dope in the mall. All those people, he says, I'm gonna make sure that these rent-a-cops are reminded that they're rent-a-cops. That's another thing with malls going out of business. They gotta. I'm worried about those private companies that hire mall cops. Because if there's one thing you don't want on the street, you know, you talk about, well, we're gonna let all these prisoners out, and they're gonna be. What I don't want on the street, left to their own devices, is someone who enjoys being a rent-a-cop. That guy or gal, that person is more dangerous than almost any criminal you can let go. So they want to be cops. They can't become cops. So they become fake cops. And if you take away the fake cop part of it, what the fuck do they have left to live for? A rent-a-cop with nothing to lose might be the most dangerous thing in this fucking country. I'm sure there's not studies about it. I'm sure you can't find them. But I would be willing to bet that is not someone rent-a-cop with nothing to lose. Because, I mean, when they could lose their job, they're a little too big for their britches, right? And then with nothing to lose. I can't even think about it. That is too... So anyway, Chris is making sure... I don't know if he's worried about uniforms or not. I'm not sure if he's going there. I know he's starting with the cars. I know he's starting on that point, but I don't know if he's doing anything with the uniforms yet. I think baby steps. You know, you learn to walk before you learn to crawl, right?
Nope.
You're right. I did say it wrong. You have to learn how to crawl before you learn how to walk. Daddy's got it. And so he thinks that the car part is most important. So he's trying to get that fixed. I think it's a good, great idea. Again, with all these people saying that, you know, cops are too much, rent-a-cops are where we gotta start. Of course, this wouldn't be a true episode unless I laid the gauntlet down. Randy, I'm waiting. Let's lace him up, buddy. Let's step in the ring. A nice 10-round fight. You versus me in the middle of a VFW or wherever we can find a place. A public park, if they let us put up bleachers. Or if this gets enough traction, maybe in an elementary school gymnasium. Huh? Randy, we've got to get this going. People are clamoring. No one, with my hiatus, no one really gave a fuck that I was gone. No one cared. What I was hearing numerous questions about, is Randy accepting the deal? Are you away because you're training? You're up in Big Bear? Or I'm getting questions aplenty about that. Like I said, they didn't care that I was gone. No one gave a fuck. They couldn't have cared less. But they want to know where the fight's at. So, obviously, we got to make this happen. It has to, right? Now, since I told you, you've heard in episodes past, I've been all worried about, celebrity boxing, the Jake Paul or Logan Paul or whichever one, or both of them. They've both done celebrity fights, haven't they? I think so, yeah. And then I look back like, oh, are you a hack for suggesting? This has been going on forever. So, obviously, I'm not... Well, I am just an unoriginal hack, but it's not because of what's going on currently. It's what's gone on forever. So, Randy, the offer is there. This is actually a pretty good segue. I'm not going to tell you why it is, but if you know, then you know. I think it has to be said. Fuck Hawaiians. Fuck them. I was in Hawaii for a week. And there's all these articles about what to do if you're staying in Hawaii, how not to look like a tourist, and how not to, make sure you're not insulting their culture, insulting their... First of all, fuck you. Second of all, 80% of you wouldn't have jobs without tourists, so maybe you should start worrying about making sure we come back, rather than, how are we gonna keep the locals? Let's make sure we keep our... Fuck you. First of all, the same people who are writing articles about, let's make sure Hawaii can keep its culture and are the ones who are marching against Confederate flags. I understand. I'm just saying, pick one side or the other. Pick one lane on this highway, because you're making the exact same argument people in the South make. But just because you don't agree with the culture they're trying to... So all these articles from uppity white people, and even people down there, even my friends who live down there, well, you don't want to insult them, this is their culture, this is how... Fine, whatever. Have your culture, pretend like you're a different country, but take all the federal money you want. Here is where it turns for me. Yes, respect. It's their culture, respected. If the lot of the people in Hawaii want to, still live like Hawaiian or whatever that means, if they don't want whitey that much into their shit, that's fine. And I was starting to get that. I was starting to, at least able to respect that. But then I make mention of someone who is of Hawaiian descent. I think it was Marcus Mariota. I think that's who I was talking about. And I just asked somebody, he was like, oh, is he from Hawaii or was he born somewhere else and his family's just from here? And I get this fucking stone dead look, just staring daggers at me. This is the same country as the U.S. No shit. I would ask that pretty much from any state. Oh, is he from New York or is just his family from New York? I would make that same thing, but no, since you're in the middle of the ocean, it's a big thing. Well, pick one or the other. Are we supposed to respect you and make sure that your culture is still treated the same or make sure you're treated differently? Or are we supposed to not worry about any of that shit? You can't have it both ways, people. You can't. You can't sit there and say, we want to keep our culture, so Whitey, keep your pink hands off of our culture. Sorry, I just had to adjust something. I tried something new for the first part of this. You might notice, hey, it might sound a little different. Yeah, it did. I adjusted some shit. I tried something new. Didn't work. Back here. You can't say we are our own society, our own culture, and then get mad if someone asks if someone's actually from Hawaii or if their family's from there. You're not giving the same credit to the South. You're not gonna play that game. Well, my family fought the Okay, whatever. Yes, the Confederate flag's stupid. I agree. But the problem is the same people making that argument are the ones who are all against that. I'm going off on a tangent. All I gotta say is, fuck you, Hawaiians. Not all of you, but the ones who... Because the ones who are saying, well, our culture... Like, okay, then you make mention about someone being from Hawaii. Well, it's the same country. Pick one. I do my best to be polite. Well, I you know what? That is true. I do my best to be polite when it comes to shit like this. And if I'm getting shit for it, obviously something is wrong. Which sucks because I had a blast down there and everyone I met was like super nice, minus the two people that gave me shit about that. Oh, by the way, both people, transplants. Both people who were giving me shit weren't born or raised there. And I was getting shit about their culture, or keeping their culture. And then, well, we're the same. Okay, let me ask homeboy who's been living on the beach for the last 30 years. Yeah, there was one of those. Even in Waikiki, where all the tourists hang out. There was one of those. Let's ask him what he fucking thinks about it. And then once he answers, then we'll go along with it. Yeah, we all know I hate those bullshit double standard, because they're all just fucking phony, right? I'll get off Hawaii, because, like I said, I had a great time. It was a blast. Got to golf, even though the weather was shit. I had a fabulous time. I've been racking my brain, because obviously I talk a lot of sports on this, I would call it a podcast, but this once a quarter audio journal, whatever the fuck I'm doing. So, I was racking my brain, like, I gotta talk football, but I don't know what it was. I mentioned this before, that football just didn't grab me like it did before. This year was weird. I mean, being a 49ers fan and going through 5 quarterbacks or whatever, I don't know what the 49ers need to do. Like, do they need to, I don't know, sacrifice something to the gods, or did a gypsy put a curse on the 49ers quarterbacks? Because how many fucking injuries can you have at quarterback year after year after year? But the one thing that did get me, the whole Damar Hamlin thing, that was possibly one of the craziest things I've ever seen on a field. Dude's heart just stopped in the middle of the game. Fucking crazy. I can't think of anything And then a story comes out about a college pitcher who just out of nowhere had a heart attack. Now this one, you'll see where I'm going with this, but this was from Breitbart, so who knows how often this happens in other years, and they're just now reporting, the right is just now reporting on it because of, why can't the question be asked? Could some sort of chemical or medicine or vaccine be having ill effects on people's heart? We already know that it was happening for kids. The FDA already admitted that. But what? All I did was ask the question. Like, hey, that's weird. I wonder if they're going to look into this. As soon as I asked that question, oh, what, you're wearing your tinfoil hat? You're wearing your... No, I'm curious. That was fucking weird. I would like a goddamn answer for it. Yes, if the first thing you say is, oh, his heart stopped, it's only because he took the vaccine, then yes, you're a douchebag, you're an idiot, you're a nut job. But people who just want to say, that's interesting, I wonder, there might be a good cause, there might be a reason to kind of look into that. Those people are the same person who says, oh, the vaccine is just to put some sort of blue dye in you, so when you go through airport screenings, they know who... Trust me, if the right person told me that argument, I can get behind it. But why is it crazy to ask the question? Why is it crazy to ask the question? I've heard plenty of people just ask simply, is anyone doing any research on that? Well, no, because the vaccine's the only thing to ever be 100% safe ever. Okay, dude. You're just as bad as the other guy. Can't we ask it? And that's a good question. Even with the Hamlin thing, a professional athlete's heart just stopping in the middle of a game, a minor league pitcher. Like I said, this is from Breitbart, so who knows if this happens a lot and they're just now reporting on it. I'm gonna give that a grain of salt. But if this continues to happen at a... alarming is not the right word, but a curious pace, isn't it worth looking into? No, you can't look into it because then you're just a MAGA Trumpster. Okay. Simple fucking question to ask, and it seems to be an obvious question. The first side effects they were noticing were heart issues with teens and children. So now we're seeing it in some adults, but you're right. No. We can't look into that. That saved everyone's life. If it wasn't for that vaccine, we would all be dead. I've thought of becoming an anarchist. Not for that specifically, but just a lot of things. I think I would do well in anarchy. Me personally, me specifically, I couldn't deal with other people who want to be anarchists. But I could do with some anarchy, like, just in my day-to-day life. I think I could handle it pretty well. Yeah, so I'm looking into it. I see this HBO documentary about it, and, I can get behind that. No, you can't. Because it looks like to be one of the club anarchists, the ones that live in Mexico, the ones that are in the club, you have to be either drinking yourself to death, you have to be running from the cops. It looks like that's it. It looks like you just want to drink yourself to death and you don't want to get judged for it. That's one of the reasons you move down there and become a quote-unquote anarchist. The other is you have some sort of felony warrants out there, and how do you become an anarchist just on your own? Can I just get like a stamp that says, oh yeah, the laws don't apply to you, but we know you're not going to abuse it. You're not going to speed excessively. You're not going to run through red lights. You're not going to do all that, but, on some of those no right turn on red signs, you could take a right turn there. You go ahead and do it. That law doesn't apply to you. I like how the HBO documentary goes into and then there's this guy who came back from the war, and he moved down there, and he had all sorts of mental problems, and there was no oversight for... Yeah, that's what you were going for. You're not going to have oversight. Well, we need oversight for mentally ill people who are joining. Your whole idea is to not have oversight. And guess what? Anarchy, no matter how much of a bow you put on, no matter how well you dress it up, is gonna draw mostly nut jobs. There's no way to have oversight over this. You're right, that's what you chose, dipshit. People are fucking morons. Even with the big fight this weekend, UFC's in trouble. Power Slap is here. The sport of dudes just slapping each other and calling it a combat sport is here. Why does that have anything to do with UFC, you ask? Well, I'll tell you, good sir, because 90% of people who claim to be MMA fans are just watching for that reason. They're just watching for someone to get hit stupid and the fight to be over. So what did Dana White do? Well, he's going to double down. He's going to create a league for a sport where all you're doing is getting hit stupid. Hey, at least Dana White's done pretending. He's figured it out. He said, all my fans just want to see this, so this is what I'm going to give them. And now fans can stop pretending. Well, we just want to see the tactical... No, you don't. You want to see someone get hit in the face and fall over weird. That's why most of you watch. You don't watch because of skill or the grappling or the, oh, look at what he does in the wrestling submission and the... No, you want to see someone get hit stupid. There's your sport. Just white trash dudes smacking each other with chalk on their hand and fucking sport. I've said that it's not bugs me because I don't feel like a true fight should continue when someone hits the ground. I feel like when someone hits the ground, that's when a fight's over. Whether it be sanctioned, whether it be in a park, whether it be wherever. Whether it be your mom and dad. That joke was for the UFC fans I'm talking to right now. A fight should end when someone hits the ground. That's what's bugged me about MMA. Until now that I see there's a sport where men, quote unquote, men, slap each other. You know, what your wife does. You know, what your baby sister does. I didn't think there was anything worse than continuing to fight on the ground. Nope, there is. Slapping. They call it a bitch slap. But now it's a game, now it's a sport, and the UFC's fucked. Because those guys who still have their tap-out shirts in their closet, the 90% of the people who order these fights on pay-per-view are gonna watch slap fighting and love it. Gonna stop wasting their time with UFC because the UFC has tried to gussy itself up too much. I've been watching the reality show, the Power Slap. Oh, really? There's fights that happen in the house? Well, I mean, they're quote-unquote fights. These guys are professional slappers. I did like the quote on, at least 5 of the people, well, if I get this contract, I can see my kids. I can get custody of them, or I don't have to sleep in my car anymore, or maybe my ex-girlfriend will leave that man of hers who has a job and come to me if I get this contract. If that doesn't tell you what kind of people are in it and going to be fans of it, I don't know what does. Dude, I'm gonna get this contract, get custody of my kids back, but I gotta keep slapping people. I'm not good enough to box. I'm not good enough to get in a cage. No, I'm really good at slapping. Well, no wonder your fucking wife doesn't want to see you. That's right, second DV joke. I do like that it took about 6 episodes in for someone to finally say, we're supposed to be worried about head injuries. What is with a sport where you just hit someone in the head? That's it. That's all it is. The one thing is, maybe we're done worrying about head injuries. Maybe we don't give a fuck anymore. Are we at the point where it's just become expected? If you're going to do something stupid like this, you know how bad head injuries are and what it can So if you're playing football, if you're playing hockey, if you're boxing, if you're UFC fighting, if you're slap fighting, If you're doing any of this, you are taking the risk, and you know what's going on. Are we at that point? Because I sure as fuck hope so. I'm getting sued over the league getting sued over head injuries. You know what? If you're a player anytime after 2008, you don't get to use that excuse anymore. Because it was starting to get there. What about CTE? You signed up for something that is basically, it's a game. It's basically a game designed to see who can give the best CTE. So I hope they had to sign something, because fuck them all. Fucking power slide. The finale is this Saturday. You bet your fat ass I'm going to be watching it. And I will update the best that I can. God, I'm so excited for it. I'm talking all this shit. I've watched every episode. I'm recording it. I'm rewinding. I'm studying this shit. God damn. All the shit I talk. Haven't missed a minute of it. Such a fucking joke. It's great. Speaking of fake sports, I mentioned before this kabaddi, this Iranian, Pakistani, whatever, sport that appears to be a big deal. Said I was going to try to figure out the rules, and it looks like some form of tag that I tried, guys. I tried. I couldn't do it. I was watching the kabaddi, I think that's how it's pronounced. I was watching their kabaddi Super Bowl or whatever, and it looked like just a nutty Mexican game show. They showed more of the sideline than they did of the quote-unquote sport. I tried. I couldn't get it. One team holds hands and makes sure another guy doesn't touch part of their side. I don't know. I tried. And you know me, I'm all about looking for new sports. I've become possibly the 12th biggest Aussie Rules football fan in America. Just from this show, trying to study shit for you guys. That being said, kabaddi, or whatever the fuck they call it, can't do it. Cricket, can't do it. Tried. I tried. Numerous times tried. Rugby, can't do it. I tried. I tried, okay? Oh, I worked so hard sitting on my fat ass going through ESPN+. Yeah, well, that's still trying, asshole.
Shut up, bitch!
That's right, Vince said it. Shut up, that's still work in my book. I do love when it comes to sports. The biggest event for the world's most famous sport, or the most popular sport, soccer, the World Cup ended on a shootout. A shootout. That's one thing for, say, hockey. Soccer, when you're growing up, don't ask me how I know this. Please do not ask me how I know this, but soccer, when you're growing up, as a goalie, you're taught that in shootouts, in penalty kicks, the way you best stop them is you look at the player kicking and you guess. You guess. There's absolutely no skill involved. If you're a goalie, you are guessing. Okay? Fair enough. So you have to be a good guesser to be good at soccer shootouts. Awesome. This is the World Cup. This is your event. This is, hundreds of thousands of people died building your arenas. Oh, we're still not supposed to talk about that yet? Okay. You decide you're a champion by a thing that you admit coaching is just dumb fucking luck. You decide the World Cup. If all the other dumb bullshit things I've said about soccer hasn't been enough to change your opinion on it, that fucking better. It's the world's game. Yeah, the world's fucking stupid. If the world was so great, our ancestors wouldn't have had to hop on a boat to get over here. Fucking Chris. So I just got sent a story by the other Chris. Obviously, he is done for the day. Apparently, there's evidence of Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad was just an underground lesbian ring? What? Two things. First of all, I love Harriet Tubman. Not for any reason, not for anything she did, not for the quarters or whatever we're giving her, or the $20 bill or whatever we're doing. Because you drop a good Harriet Tubman joke, you are getting a huge laugh. If you drop a good, what was it, The Man Show, the first season of The Man Show. I fucking heard a Harriet Tubman joke. Lost my shit, still do it. I love Harriet Tubman, so you would think I would have come across this. But, maybe not, Kristen. As I look into it, the Underground Railroad was probably the first instance we know of hitchhiking. And what do they always say? Ass, cash, or grass, no one rides for free. So it wasn't an underground lesbian ring. It just happened that if women went along, that they decided to pay with ass, they lesed out. I'm sure there was plenty of dudes who had to pay that way. I don't know how prevalent marijuana was in Civil War times, so maybe it was just ass or cash. But yeah, I doubt it was a true underground lesbian sex ring. No, they had to pay for their trip. Just like we have to, if you're hitchhiking, you have to pay now. There's 3 ways to pay. Back then, if I'm guessing, there was only 2 ways to pay. And I'm gonna guess that a lot of people that she's leading on the Underground Railroad didn't have a lot of the second one. So if you're gonna pay for the ride, because no one rides for free, only have one of those things to pay with, it wasn't an underground lesbian ring. That was just the Underground Railroad invented the rule that we all know well about hitchhiking. No one rides for free. Why does everything have to be, such a thing? If there's evidence of an underground ring, that's what the reason is. It has nothing to do with sexual orientation or what was really trying to happen. No, you gotta pay somehow. If you can't find the third, if you don't have any of the second, ass is all you got, and ass is what you're gonna have to pay with. Calm down, people. It's the rules of the road. The worst possible thing happened. Yes, I did watch the Jake Paul Tommy Fury fight. I did watch it. I thought the cards were a little weird. I thought Fury won handily. The point deductions were odd. But I thought he won pretty. The worst possible thing happened with that outcome. It was the worst outcome. Went to the cards, Tommy Fury won. Okay, that's how it should have gone. The worst outcome happened. It made Jake Paul more likable. It made people say, oh, look, he's just not doing this. He's actually gonna... Well, fuck. You know what that means? We're gonna have to see this douche nozzle charge $80 a fucking fight at least once more, because him losing made him likable. And because Tommy Fury has the Fury name, it made him look more respectable that way too. God damn it. I don't necessarily mind him or the whole thing. Stay in your fucking lane. Not enough people do that. As I'm sitting here hosting a podcast trying to set up a boxing match. I know, I'm a fucking hypocrite too. In fairness to me, I'm not trying to pretend like I'm some sort of boxer. I'm not pretending like this is a springboard to a career. Hell, I'm not even pretending like I'm a celebrity. So I understand where you guys are. There's a fucking difference. God, Jake Paul being more likable. If he would have been snoring on the canvas for that fight, that's what we needed to see. Or if he knocked out Tommy Fury, I think we need to see that too. So I think if he knocked him out, I think people would stop giving a fuck. But here we are. Hey, you guys thought I was going to do it to you. You're looking at the times like, oh, this is about when he starts winding down. There seems to be something that he didn't bring up. XFL. Of course. The XFL. That's not what you thought I was going to bring up, did you? Did not think XFL's where I was going. Fuck you, USFL. You are done. You're done for. The XFL is here. It is the spring league. That's all. My boy Josh Gordon, week 3, going off for the Sea Dragons. You're done. You are done. XFL rules. And from what I saw, and this is from an independent source, not from like ESPN or not from the league or whatever, none of the games had below 500,000 viewers, and that does not include the ESPN Plus crowd. I know I watched on ESPN Plus, I watched every game on ESPN Plus. So I'm not included on there. We'll see. But I'll keep up with the XFL for you, but USFL, fold up your tent. You are done for. God, the XFL rules. It's gonna be funny to see, since now they're gonna have a full season. The Rock, who knows how true this is, but The Rock says he's kind of, in it for a while. So if there's who knows, he's dedicated to it. It's gonna be funny to see how much shit the NFL steals from the XFL, because they already did it beforehand. Camera on the clothesline or zip line or whatever. One thing they are saying is, well, they mic them up and there's F-bombs being, yeah, okay. Warn people before the game. Hey, you might hear the fuck word every now and again. Sorry. And then go about your business. Okay, I'll give it to you. Before I wrap up, there is no one better than Tiger fucking Woods. The guy has moved the needle in his sport more than anyone has ever done it in any other sport. The guy is the first athlete to run down $1 billion. He married a Swedish supermodel, who actually wasn't a supermodel anymore. Now she was a babysitter. While he was married to her, nailed a bunch of sixes that, quite honestly, I've done better than. Why do you bring this up, Chris? Well, then you have the whole knee issues and still winning at Augusta. But he just keeps getting better. He is getting sued by his ex-girlfriend for $30 million. $30 million. Why? Who the fuck knows? Ex-girlfriend, I don't know. And she's also trying to get out of an NDA she signed. So as soon as the gravy train stops, she wants to get out of the NDA so she can figure out a way to get the gravy train started again. $30 million for a fucking girlfriend. Tiger opened a restaurant for you to run. Oh, you're former now because... Anyway, I'm going to keep up with this story because the details are just slowly trickling in. If this is true, this is the best thing I have ever heard. He knew she wasn't going to leave his house voluntarily, and the details are a little off of this. She wasn't going to do it voluntarily, so he made up a fake mini vacation they were going to take, left her at the airport, and got all her shit out of the mansion. It's official. Tiger Woods, the greatest athlete of all time. Forget the wins. Forget how he did it. Forget how much he moved the needle. Forget he even handles his broads better than any other athlete in the world. Sports is entertainment, right? He's the most entertaining fucking girlfriend, wife. He's the most entertaining in that too. There is no one better than Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods So I'm gonna keep up with this story. It keeps getting better and better. Knew she wouldn't leave the fucking leaves her at the airport for. If that is the true story, my God, that is one of the greatest things I've ever heard. Leaves her at the airport after a fake vacation. See, I told you, fucker. There's no way I was gonna get done with an episode without talking about my baby boy tiger. I guess that's about done for me. I'm gonna promise, or I'm gonna sit here and promise to try harder. We aim to try here at the C Squared Hour. That's what we do. We aim to try. I'm gonna try my best to keep this going more because, again, I hear all you clamoring for it. I know you all miss me. You're sending me shit you put on my logo. I appreciate what you're doing with my logo and putting it on shit. Guess what? My logo's on clothing that you can buy. Links are in all my bios. I digress. Thank you for sticking with me. I know I'm not famous to go radio silent, but for some reason I did again. I will make sure that there is another episode coming up. I'm going to say within the year. Within the year. I think I could safely say I will do another episode within the year. I think I could safely promise that. Alright, what else is there to say? Share my shit around. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, buy shit. I guess that's it. Like I said, I appreciate you sticking with me. And I will see you next time.